So, 4 days ago I published a video showcasing how it's possible to beat Terraria using only your left and right click buttons, an idea first given to me by This Is a Bad Name and Adventure32. I highly recommend watching that video before this one, as it makes everything make so much more sense, but if you don't want to, let me summarize it here. Essentially, you craft chairs to move in the early game. Since you can't open your inventory as you spawn, you use the guide's crafting menu to craft chairs from the wood you get at your spawn point. Then you navigate downwards to get iron to craft minecart tracks. Minecart tracks can be hooked onto without a hook by right-clicking on them, as long as you aren't on a minecart already, so we use an alternating chair rail system to move in all 4 directions. Finally, after killing Skeletron, booster track is enough to minecart cheese the rest of the game, and that's about it. Overall, despite sounding simple, it's a very scuffed, tedious run idea, especially in the early game where we literally have to chair our way anywhere the entire time. Oh yeah, it was. So I'm going to try to get more... Okay. Thank you, Slime. Very cool. Terraria's mobility is already bad in the early game, and this makes it 100 times worse. But, of course, scuffed, tedious, masochistic run ideas often make for great content. So despite my first video strictly being a theory video with no run behind it, I actually ended up trying to do this challenge, on Master Mode, and stream it live with 2 other people you might recognize from this old series. The thing with actual playthroughs is that you can get a lot more insight from them than any theory crafting can. While I started this run with routes and techniques written in stone, I and many other players quickly found new techniques that can help make this run much easier. They have made chairs basically redundant, allowed us access to new menus, and in some cases have allowed us to access a new degree of movement without needing to use wiring. So what are these techniques? Well, there are 5 of them, and I'll be explaining them today. 1. Instant rail cancellation. In the first video I made a big point out of alternating rails and chairs, since while rail hooking is incredibly useful, it doesn't work if you're already on a minecart, so direct rail-to-rail hooking doesn't work. But this technique discovered in the first stream removes that limitation. You can hook directly from rail to rail like this, if you have a 3-block roof over your head, since the tunnel isn't actually high enough to ride a minecart in. Despite no minecart mounting you, you can still hook forward, and without the minecart you also aren't blocked from hooking to another rail either. So, boom boom, and you keep zipping forward at great speed. You can also do something similar to this with a single rail embedded underground like this if you want to do this on the surface, as discovered by stream viewer Crobbly. This is more ideal for surface exploration, and works because you can hook to rails through blocks. These rail-only transport systems are much faster than previous chair rail designs we designed previously, and are also much more reliable in use as well. 2. Rail minecart cancellation. Speaking of rail-to-rail hooking, we can cut out chairs even when above ground without digging. This is because, like every mount, minecarts have a buff icon, and to dismount a minecart, you can simply right-click on the buff icon to dismount. So if you repeatedly cancel your minecart buff with right-click and hook onto a placed rail, you can move around the world with relative ease. This technique is best used for scouting and exploration without setting up proper infrastructure. Despite this being so simple, I was actually quite surprised learning about this on stream, and shows why experience is better than theory crafting. Just like the first technique, this method is so much faster than chair stacking, and combined with the first, these 2 essentially make chairs redundant past the very opening of the playthrough. 3. The frictionless rail cannon. So between the new rail techniques and the old chair stuff, there's always been one thing in common. They all basically move you in increments and then stop you, which is different than continuous movement like on a minecart or walking in standard Terraria. That means that barring hoiks, which have to be in blocks, movement relies on you clicking on where to go. This is annoying as it means you basically can't attack and move at the same time unless you're playing Summoner. In the first video I thought we couldn't obtain this luxury of automatic movement until we got booster track post-skeletron, but it turns out that isn't really the case. Stream viewer xDoggeh first brought up the topic during the second stream, and after first testing it... There you go.
Oh, there we go. I did it. Okay.
Yeah, see that? Yeah, there you go. That's a thing that happened. And then refining it with the help of Crobbly, they were able to systematically pull off a rail grapple, achieving 46 miles per hour.
Like right behind your character, you just hold down. Well, you have to get the rail to 1 hit first. So I hit it twice, hold down left click, right click, and then it sends me 46.
Combining this rail hook technique with frozen slime blocks, which reduce friction to 0, we can achieve independent movement as soon as we defeat King Slime, a much more feasible task than defeating Master Skeletron. This revolutionary technique will certainly be used against that boss and maybe even the Wall of Flesh in the future. 4. The Railevator. This technique is much more mild than the rail cannon, but is important regardless. Instead of using awkward chair and track combos to ascend, which are extremely annoying to use and require different intervals to ascend and descend at maximum speed, you can use a mix of rails and platforms like this to ascend and descend easily. Apparently you can't mount minecarts inside of 2-block tunnels like this, so you can simply hook up and down like this. Simple but effective regardless, especially while mining. 5. The Instant Hoik. In my original video, I explained the possibility of creating hoiks and entering using rails like this. It's definitely one of the cooler ways to transport yourself using only the mouse, but as I said in the video, it is extremely cumbersome to build, but also very convenient. Well, this tech fixes that, the extremely cumbersome part, I mean. As discovered by fellow runner EJ, by clipping into a wall you can actually construct a hoik through solid blocks like this. Unlike the hard to construct hoik tunnels I thought up, these are basically free and insanely quick to construct, as it only requires you to clip then hold down left click, and they work regardless of situation. Another bonus is that these don't spawn mobs in them either.
I hope there's an easier way for me to actually set it up. Okay, there we go. And then I'm just gonna hammer this spot and I'm gonna keep my mouse here.
Okay. Oh. While this isn't useful for boss fights, it's definitely the best for tunneling we've seen so far. It works without clicking, you can tunnel through anything except sand. No more of these weird chair tunnel things or random sky bridges, the underground hoiks got us covered. In total, these techniques have made the challenge much more doable than before. Instead of having to chair spam the skeleton fight, you can instead use a frozen slime platform or an underblock rail chain with ascenders, which is much faster and more consistent. Mining is also now much more convenient, with rail cancellation pseudographing instead of having to chair a rail around ore, and tunneling across the road is done easily by an underground hoik. Even though we still start with only a guide to craft wooden chairs, so many more movement options are now available, even before Skeletron. Who knew you were able to do so much, even while limited to only left and right click? If you wish to watch us suffer through our own run of this, you can tune into the occasional stream of ours about it. We've done 2 so far and are doing a 3rd soon. Do note that I'm not the best at commentary though. If you're part of the 3/4 of my viewers who aren't subscribed, consider doing so if you enjoy my content. Either way though, thank you for watching, and good day and goodbye.